folks, and welcome back to Tarot Tats and Tea. And look what I've managed to do. I've managed to get my phone to focus on the table with me being able to chat to you at the same time. I've managed to position the phone so that it's exactly perfect, that it's not going to be beside me or over me and I'm knocking it every time I move, because the tripod I'm using is rather wobbly. So hopefully I'll be able to do this without too much disruption or shakiness, because the last thing I want is for you to feel seasick watching this. So look, my glue, I need to glue my shoe. Oops, there you go, I need to glue my shoe. Right, oops. Welcome back to Tarot Tats and Tea, and as you can see, the Ancestral Grimoire time. Now we're coming to autumn. I have actually recorded this on 3 separate occasions. Each one has gone on for far too long, and I was actually going through each activity piecemeal, and I don't think you actually need that, because it's one thing me showing you what I'm doing, but I don't want to be feeding you this is my way, because you do things your way too. Every way is valid. Okay, now let's see what I have done for autumn. Now, as you are aware, I like to get all the theory side of the Ancestral Grimoire done at the beginning of the season, and then spend the rest of that season involved in activities that our ancestors might have been involved in. Obviously not every day, because I live in the modern world, but I like to see what activities I do that can be linked to days of yore. I have pre-recorded some activities, whether it be in my greenhouse or reading, that I'm going to embed into this video, and will play them for you so that you can see and hear what I have done outside of this project here, but linked to what we're doing. So let's see. So far I have done some of the theory. There is still some to go, but this is what I have done so far. Yes, autumn. So here we start. So what did I start off doing? Well, I picked apples, plums, corn, and baked and shared my fruits, my crops, and my bread amongst neighbours. What will we need? What tools will we need for the autumn section? So these are all the tools we'll need that will have been taken from September, October and November. So we need tarot, crystals, finger paints, smoke signals, pendulum, sidewalk oracles, clairs and charms and stones. Now you can either do both the smoke signals and the finger painting, or the smoke signals. I chose to go with smoke signals. We work out to find out which ancestor we're working is, and it's the Sky Watcher ancestor, and this is the spread that I carried out for this particular task. We then make a symbol that we choose as our solar or linear symbol, and this is the I chose sort of to use the combination of the sun, the moon and the stars. I cleared everything, my sigil with quartz, and that's my sigil that we've been using all along. I've messed up the page there a little bit, as you can see, which I'm a bit annoyed about. So that was a rough drawing that I do in my my journal, as you've seen all along. And here we go. This is a spread that I did with it. This is the equal night and day spread. So it's for here, it's my balance at this time of the equinox. Where can I improve my balance? An ancestor who can help me. And shades of self. What am I not taking? What was it? Realistically, I think it was. And then here we get draw the linear solar symbol, which was the sun, the moon and the stars. Light and dark, day and night, warm and cold, active and inactive, and all these equal balance. And this symbol was charged with a clear quartz crystal and drawn into this grimoire. I chose to use smoke signals. This was quite an interesting activity, because what can you see in that? Now, okay, this is supposed to be for ourselves to look, but I don't mind sharing this with you, because this is a project that I have been sharing with you from the off. So with smoke signals, carrying out smoke signals, let's have a look what I have written here. Activity, I asked my question, will I ever have a book published? And I see a dancing figure and outlines of the word yes. So will I ever have a book published? Look at this. There's the head, the arms, the body, and the legs as though dancing and celebrating. And then I went to look further and I could see a Y, an E, and an S. So that was quite something else. And each time I look at this, I see something different, you know. I see, to me, this is positivity, but this is also me having to get on with the work that's needed in order to carry on the task that I want to do. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, that was where I had got up to in the Ancestral Grimoire so far. So this, people, is my grimoire. This is how I've built it up from the beginning. We started this last December, and we will be working through until the beginning of this December, which is bringing us into the winter again. Well, we won't actually be doing December because we did that. We'll be finishing in November, which gives us the full circle of the Ancestral Grimoire. I've used a lot of little things in here. I have made envelopes. I've popped in a little door that I created, which gives me some of my ancestry there. I have used a variety of things to decorate the book, but also that have meaning. Okay, there is a lot in here. There's a little envelope that I made there. Oh no, it's a little card I made. Sorry, that was our card that we made. And let's move on. So this, like I say, is my Ancestral Grimoire, and it's a project I'm absolutely loving. I do envisage by the time that I have finished this, that this will actually be completely full, because I think I've got just about enough left to finish autumn and the first part of winter. So let's see what the book is telling us to do next. This is where I was up to. Still doing my daily draws, and I'm keeping a note of my daily draws in another journal. Okay, so for October we're going to be looking at elemental magic, and for this we need our tarot, our sidewalk oracles, the clairs, and charms and stones. If you don't read charms and stones, that's not a big issue. You basically, albeit you've got these here, this is the guide, you can also use divinatory processes that might not be mentioned in the book. So if you don't use charms and stones, you could take out your runes, and you know how to divine with your runes, so use that. Use your pendulum if need be. This is not set in stone. This is a guide. This is Nancy Hendrickson's guide on how she did it, and it will become evident why we need our charms and stones if we need them, because a lot of it is through choice. It's how you are comfortable. If you don't read charms, if you don't cast charms, if you don't use stones, it's going to be more difficult. You're going to think, oh my God, why am I doing this? I don't do this. And it could be an opportunity to learn something new. I love charm casting. The charms I have used for this, I picked out, I've got over 200 charms, but I picked out these small charms that I felt at the very, very beginning of this project would suit my ancestral work. As you have probably seen before, I created a charm casting board from an old breadboard that had broken in the dishwasher. It had warped. So this is my I used this with the Ancestral Tarot and Grimoire. So casting charms onto here, these are just stains of use over the years. This other side I actually covered with resin, and I use this for casting story cubes, which are brilliant. You know, you can cast them on here, and then I use this, like I say, for my charms at the back. I should actually sand this down, redraw it on, and resin it as well, really. There's a lot of things that I've been doing, am doing, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So let's have a look. What does this bring us? So we'll open our book here, ready to take notes. Let's see. Here we are. I'm just waiting there for now. Let's see what this says. So much of ancestral work, or any kind of divination for that matter, is about recognising and interpreting signs. I'm telling you, it's impossible to go through your day without seeing dozens of them, both in nature and human-made. And that's very, very true. And the signs come at the most unbelievable moments. I often talk to my dad, and you've seen the portrait of my dad here that's in my room. Oops, sorry, I just kicked the stand. That's in my room here. Now, when my father first passed away, I was driving his Mercedes. He wouldn't let me drive his Mercedes when he was alive because he thought I was a little bit wild. Yep, there might be snow on the roof, but believe you me, I'm still open for adventure. But I had my mum in the passenger seat, and I said I was coming up a small one-way street, and all these cars were parked at angles at the sides, and you could only go up straight through the middle. And I said to my mother, I said, what do you think Dad would say if he could see me driving now? And a car suddenly reversed out from the side, right in front of me, and I had to stop quite quickly. See, the cars were parked sort of at angles. I was coming up the road, and this car just reversed out, and I stopped. And the number plate read S999ROY. My father's name was Roy. And it was almost like he's saying, you're driving my car, ring 999 now, quick. As I asked that question, that was the response. And that was my dad's humour. Straight out, that was his humour. And there are so many other incidences and occurrences and signs and symbols that I could give to you now that you just would not believe it. It's almost unreal. You know, there's a photograph. My brother always went to the football with my father. They used to travel to Liverpool together and go and watch Everton play at Goodison Park. And it took him a while to go after Daddy died, and he went in honour of my dad and took one of his daughters with him. And he was walking out of the stadium. He was at the gates, and his wife had met him. She'd been shopping, and she took a photograph of him, of my brother, outside the gates. And behind him, walking up the road past the stadium, wearing the same colour coat my father would have worn, the same jeans, hands in pockets and head down, white, snow-white hair. It was a man was walking up. Had we not been any of the wiser, we would have put our lives on it that it was our father. And that man was walking that day, sent by my dad as a symbol to say to my brother, I'm still with you, son. So these we get from immediate relatives who have passed, but I firmly believe that we get many other signs, symbols, and gifts from ancestors that have gone way before us. I never had an interest in any form of gardening. Out of the blue, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, it just hit me. And suddenly I was working with herbs, growing vegetables, planting trees in my garden last year and harvesting fruits, making balms and salves and ointments, using natural products as opposed to modern day medications. And I've never felt better. These people are saying, Elaine, this is your time, you know, and they're all together helping. And if you do believe this, and if you know, this is not going to be for everybody. You know, someone might come across this and go, oh, it's complete poppycock. That's all right too. Nobody's saying anybody has to believe in anything. This is what I believe in. This is what gives me comfort. And these projects that we're doing through the lovely gift that Nancy has given us, both in the Ancestral Grimoire and Ancestral Tarot, are projects that have made me feel very, very close to my ancestors. I would highly recommend, if you have an interest in this area, give it a go. it brings you, but it's sort of giving you a whole plethora of gifts. Not only are you taking a deeper interest into your lineage, into your family trees, into your heritage, but you're also becoming much closer to nature. You're becoming at one with walking in the woodlands, walking on the seaside, even sidewalk oracles, noticing more in your towns, villages, and even in your cities. You're becoming more open to signs and symbols, but it's also giving you a belief and a hope that we do go on long after we have sort of shed our mortal coil, so to speak. So, am I enjoying this? I'm thoroughly loving it. Let's get back to it. I always go off track, don't I? I always do, and I do apologise if it bores the living daylights out of you. Just fast forward. Right. Oh, here we go. I actually hadn't read this. The ancestors send us messages all the time via signs. Sometimes we're conscious enough to receive them, but other times we tune them out. Stress, lack of sleep, busyness, mind-altering substances, they all gum up the works, making it much harder to get a message. But if you're a clean receiver, then wow. Now, do I gum up the works? I do. I enjoy a glass of wine or two. I enjoy weekends out with my husband, my son, my friends, and having a few pints of beer. Guinness, brilliant. That was invented by our forefathers, as was beer and mead and wine. I love mead. Oh, when I go over to the west of Ireland, I always come back with Bunratty mead. Absolutely gorgeous. But no, I don't. Well, I have been known to gum up them completely and not regret it, but regret the hangover. However, that's just now and again. It's more of a rarity these days because I can't handle the hangovers. But when you're completely sort of, what would you say? Not cleanse, but when you have no alcohol in your system and you are receiving these messages, there are times that it can actually be quite surreal. And there are times when, especially if you're doing a meditation and you can actually feel the person standing next to you, it's I think it's better than any alcohol or drug that you could take. Now, Nancy goes on to give us an example of her signs and symbols. I've given you one of mine there. I won't read verbatim out of here simply because of what do you call it, plagiarism, etc., or whatever it could be. But I definitely recommend you go out and buy this book and do this. Now, let's have a look here. Signs can appear in a variety of ways. Here, Nancy has tried to put them into categories to help us to get an idea of their range. And the list that I'm going to read out now, it's not a comprehensive list. There'll be signs that you know are signs to you, pretty much like I did with the number plate. So natural world, leaves, shadows, clouds, sticks. Often you can see sticks lying there in some form of runic symbol. Water, stones, rain and wind. Animals, cats, birds, fish, insects, foxes, coyotes and dogs. Human-made, business signs, street signs, billboards, walls, fences, box labels and music. Plants, weeds, flowers, trees, moss and lawn. So, during October, which is the second month of autumn, as I was saying to you, because I'm not working month by month, I'm working season by season. I'm doing 3 months, very much at the beginning of a season, as I said, working my way through it, through activities, that I like to take part in. Oh, I do apologise about that there. Right. For October, the second month of fall, your ancestor is going to help you add reading signs to your many magical lists. You may not think this is as cool or as powerful as writing spells or engaging in weather magic, but being able to spot and interpret signs can be one of your most valuable skills because you don't need any tools beyond your own senses. Okay, I really do like the sidewalk oracles that Nancy explained much earlier on in the book, and it's one that she does here when she's going out on a walk. She'll take photographs. I non-stop take photographs. I've got more photographs on my phone and my iPad, my computer, that I've filled up a number of USBs in case they ever go down, you know. So On one of Nancy's sidework oracle strolls, she took a photo of a door. That door's energy bothered her so much that she couldn't walk up and down the street anymore. She posted the photo on Instagram, and an IG friend told her that when she was a little girl she saw the picture. She said there was something bad behind the door, that the door was a sign, and what was behind it was a message that there's nothing good here. Wow. So before you draw cards for your ancestors, take a moment to envision what it might feel like if you could read signs. What if this were your own most potent magical skill? In what ways do you think you could use it? Just imagine if we could read signs so vividly and so easily. You know, we could warn people of forthcoming disasters. We could prepare ourselves for anything that might potentially harm us or our family. We could take sort of preemptive action, but we could also pass on happy messages to those people who might need closure after the loss of a loved one, happy messages to those who are wondering about their own ancestry and say, right, you know, your ancestors just sent me a sign now saying you're on the right path, or maybe you want to just take that hangman moment, step back and look at what you're doing. All those sort of things. It would be quite a talent to have. Okay, so let's connect with our omen diviner. Find your ancestor by drawing from the court cards or visiting the land of tarot. Oh, I love that. I love that activity, visiting the land of tarot. Before I was doing this project, I used to do what's called stepping into a card. And I would hold the card close to me, envisage it. Excuse me, I've got hiccups now. Envisage it. And then keep looking at it, really imprint that card's image on my mind, and then close my eyes. I envisage that card becoming the size of a door and stepping into it, being able to talk to the character in that card and see other characters that we don't see in the card walking around. It's an absolutely free roaming in say, I'd say the hermit's card. Stepping into his space. Is he on his own? Is there something else there? What can we smell? He gives us a gift. What does he give us? Look in our hand. What is that gift? How are we going to use it? You know, all these sort of things that bond you with your tarot deck, but give you a freedom to get lost in your meditation. And this is one that I really do practice. I love this Land of Tarot activity. I might actually do both. I might draw a card from the courts, and then I might step into that particular court card and look around. I went to the Land of Tarot for this exercise, and this is what I found. There I met the King of Swords on an RWS card. He sits upright, facing forward. There's no side eye here. On his throne are butterflies, and behind him are clouds and birds. In some decks, this king's robes are embellished with clouds and birds. He's intelligent and he's decisive, and rules by order and logic, all qualities of air. So this is what we're to do now, to find out who our ancestor is. That is our omen diviner. I must remember that word, our omen diviner. So I haven't actually separated my deck here, which is unusual for me. I'm going to take the Robin Wood Tarot today. I've been using the 3 decks for this project, as you know, the Robin Wood, the Tarot of the Abyss, and the Universal Celtic Tarot. Today I am just drawn to the Robin Wood. So I'm just going to pull out all my court cards here. I'm going to move my book to one side for now. And let's have a look, see what we have. Okay, we have courts now. I have speeded this section of the video up just so that we can get to those court cards. So please excuse the mouth moving and not in time with the voice you're hearing now. Yep, so let's get on with it. I have 16 cards here. I do. No, they're not ready. Don't feel the urge to stop yet. I do now. Now, torn between two. Oh, look what we have here. The King of Wands. Now, isn't it funny? We're just after talking about seeing sticks on the ground looking like runes, and we have the King of Wands, which is his scepter, you know. Join the scepters together, you could create all sorts of runic symbols. Look at the fire in this and the passion. Look at his boots. And we have that sort of fire lizard there, what they call them, I can't remember the names of them. I like his face. He actually has a kind face. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. No, that goes too blurred. I wonder if I tap the screen. No, it doesn't focus in properly. But he actually has a really kind face. I love the fact he seems more proactive. He's standing there, and it's like if you look at this king. Now we know the king of that wands are our fire symbol. Okay, the element is fire. But albeit this is like a flame, okay, and it looks like he's like a human torch in a way with all this bright, bold colour. Equally, this guy looks like his cloak could also be ragged from walking, from being a hard-working court card. He's not just going to be sitting there on his throne. He's guiding by leading. And he is going to be guiding and leading me on our omen divinations. Yeah. Wow, it's this is great. I'm actually going to photograph this, and the reason I'm going to photograph this is because sometimes, you know, when we're during our busy day, we sort of forget, and we might see signs and symbols, and then sometimes if you do your card of the day and photograph it, and something happens and you go, what was my card of the day this morning? Have a look at your photo. That fits in with exactly what my card said this morning, and that's how I'm going to use this guy. Do you know, I might actually even photocopy this and print it off and put it into my tarot journal. I really feel quite strongly about this card. What was the other one? Because I got far more vibes of this. Let's have a look. Oh, it was the Page of Swords. No, I don't. I was drawn to two cards. I don't know why, but this is the card. There's a lot of warmth in this. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of drive. There's a lot of guidance. There's this desire to help you succeed. Oh yes, I do like it. Right, so I'm going to work on from here. I will get round to doing the tasks today, and then I'm travelling for a little while, and I will be doing my tarot from my travels. I'm going to do my interpreting of signs, and working through only a couple of pages here, because what we do next, we are interpreting signs. Okay, then signs of the unseen. Okay, which is, we then use now clairs, which is clairaudience. Now you must, I'm sure many of you, all of you, are familiar with your clairs. Clairaudience, that's clear hearing. Clairsentience, which is clear feeling. Clairvoyance, clear seeing. Clairalience, which is the clear smelling. Clairalience. Now I hadn't heard of that one. I'm not going to lie. I hadn't actually heard of that particular one. Claircognizance, the clear knowing, and clairgustance, the clear of tasting. Now smelling and tasting, I've never used them as in clairs before, but excuse me, the others I have, the clairaudience, the clairsentience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance. So those other two I'm not familiar with, so that's going to be a very interesting task. And reading through this, we then do our daily draw and spend all month making daily predictions. And Halloween, your predictive skills will be way better than they were on October the 1st. I have absolutely no doubt. So that is going to be what I will be doing, and I will jot them all down in my journal. Now I'm going to put in the 2 extra little videos that I shot to show you, or talk about different activities that I have taken part in over the summer. Hi, so here we are in my greenhouse, and this is just one of the things that I've been doing over the summer and since last autumn, really, in keeping up with activities that my ancestors would have carried on in years gone by. Obviously they didn't have a greenhouse, they had to work outdoors. But what have I been doing? Well, I've been growing lots of things. First of all, foraging. I've been going foraging and keeping notes on different things that I've seen, where I've found them, and what time of year I've found them. Also, when I've been either too early or too late, what time of year should I have gone or should I go? And I've been growing different peppers. So these were all grown from seed, and this is an Ancho San Luis pepper, and as you can see, there's lots of peppers here on this beautiful tree. Likewise, I have a shishito pepper here. Oh, sorry, this is my jalapeno. Sorry, this one's my jalapeno here. Okay, and then I've got them 2 shishito and a sweet pepper. Sweet peppers are only just really starting. As you can see, they'll grow into sort of bell peppers, rather large bell peppers. So there's my peppers. They were my mints. I have moved them out of here. I've got one mint in here, which is this one here, and that's growing nicely still. The others have outgrown the greenhouse, and they're going to be transplanted into tubs outside, so they're just waiting for me to get on with the transplanting. I harvested all the apples, made apple pies and apple crumbles, apple turnovers and what have you, and some apple jam. And I have got all my greens here. I'll just see if I can tip you down to see these Swiss chards and things I've been growing here that I have added to things like my pestos and to salads and things. They really are lovely. And here you can see some of the leaves from one of my most beautiful sage plants. I have grown lots and lots of basil. Here we go, to take a leaf off my basil here. You can almost smell it, that's gorgeous. And I have herbs at the back here. Let me just lift you up again. Sorry about the wobbly camera. Where we're going to look at, we've got 2 different types of thyme. We've got rosemary and mint, another thyme down here, and baby sprouts down there. The Swiss chard you've seen, and sprouts here. We have basil, sage, and then I've got 3 heather plants waiting to go into the flower beds. This side, as I said, we have all the different peppers. One of the strawberry plants, loads of chives. Here I have oregano and some kale. So all these have been growing, like I say, over the season, and they've all added. I have taken peppers off that I've used in cooking. I've used my kale, my chives I've shared with neighbours. Sage I've actually cooked with some of my sage, which is lovely. Basil I've definitely cooked with. I've loads of pestos, and like I said, I've added the leaves from my Swiss chard and my petrol chard in that as well. Strawberries. Now I've grown my strawberries outside this year, with the exception of these here. This was a strawberry, a rogue strawberry that came off one of last year's vines, and it's produced its own vines this year. Now this didn't produce fruit because, like I say, it was just off a vine, so I'm going to cultivate some of these here. I'm going to transplant them into small trays, and hopefully we will have healthy strawberry plants going forward next year. Like I say, outside harvested the apples. We only had 2 plums. All the plums come off the tree for some reason, but we had apples, and I had berries, but I foraged for the berries. Like I said, 2 plums. The limequat and the kumquat have not actually produced any blossoms this year. However, the lemon tree has, and we have small lemons growing on that. My fig trees are growing in pots out there, and there's an abundance of figs on them. I'm just waiting for them to mature so that we can pick them. And then there's leeks and tomatoes. I had tomatoes to beat the band. So hopefully the plums and the cherry tree will be more successful next year, along with the kumquat and the lime. But this is what I do. I spend my time in here. I spend my time growing, nurturing my plants, cultivating them, and using it as a kitchen, almost like an extension of my kitchen, because I come in here for my herbs and my peppers and tomatoes and strawberries, etc. And I'm hoping to extend this whole project by getting a potting shed, and my potting shed will be where I will plant the seeds and start them off before bringing them into here. I am thinking of taking all the herbs, with the exception of the peppers, I think, and putting them in an outdoor herb garden that I can redo every year, and in the potting shed to having more flowers in here, as well as a little sort of kitchen pantry really. But it's really lovely. I have my fire pit out there. We've had that lit twice this year because the summer's not been great, but we've a lovely day today, so we have. So that's it, and let's get on to what other things I've done this summer season that fits in with our Ancestral Grimoire. See you in a minute. Something else that I've enjoyed doing throughout this summer is getting a little bit more crafty, but not crafty as in arts and crafts as you would normally see that I do, but crafty as in knitting and trying to make clothing for myself. So far I've managed to finish knitting it was supposed to be like a cardigan jacket, but I did the giant size, and it will probably be a great sleeping bag for Hagrid. I just have to sew that together. But I'm also knitting a very long sort of scarf that could also act as a shawl, that I'm looking forward to getting that finished too. I won't show you either of those until A, I've sewn the cardigan together, and B, I've completed the scarf. But something else that I've really enjoyed, I've enjoyed looking back at the history of magic. Now, why would I enjoy looking at this? You see, the thing is, we've been working on our Ancestral Grimoire, which is going back and looking at things our ancestors did before we were even thought about, before we were a twinkle in our mum and dad's eyes. This goes back centuries, and to read about it is extremely interesting. A book that I have been delving into and more or less reading as I go along, rather than just dipping in and out, because this is a continuum. It's a very deep book. It takes a lot of concentration, to be honest with you, and it's one that you pick up when you're in the mindset, not just to read for leisure, unless you're able to do that. But there's so much information in this, and this is the history of magic, from alchemy to witchcraft, from the Ice Age to the present, and it's by Chris Gosden. Chris Gosden. It's Simon Sebag Montefiore described it as fascinating, original and a gripping ride, an essential read. And you know, if you're into anything like we are as a group, then yes, I would recommend this. Now, I recall one of the ladies who follows me here on YouTube was asking about this book, and I actually reviewed the wrong book, but this book I will do a review of again. But just for here and now in this this video, because I'm sort of giving you an insight as to what I've done over the summer to fit in with the Ancestral Grimoire, it's all about learning about me, about my ancestors, taking part in activities such as foraging, gardening, growing, scrying. Now I have 2 black mirrors, but 2 obsidian mirrors, but this is one of my smaller ones. Scrying using candle flames, using flames in the fire, and basically just water scrying. And to be honest with you, it's really enjoyable. If you know, it's not that you're seeing things rise up and out of the mirror, but it's how you focus your mind's eye and how it focuses your train of thought. And it's rather amazing. It's not like you're going to look into a mirror and see somebody looking back at you other than your own reflection, that is. But it's all so interesting. And scrying is actually mentioned within this book further at the back when, oops, just bear with me, when Chris Gosden spoke about John Dee. And John Dee was somebody who was considered a magician. He was into this sort of thing, and the Black Mirror is something that he discusses. So reading things like this took me back in saying, well, do you know, people in the past had a really hard time. They weren't able to enjoy their interests freely like we can. You know, people were burned at the stake for it. People who used herbs for medicine or even for cooking to help them sleep, they were considered witches. So does that befit us today? Well, probably in latter days, yes. So we have to ask ourselves, do we consider ourselves witches? Do I consider myself a witch? I wouldn't necessarily use the term witch, but then looking at what I do, looking at how much I enjoy it, and looking at what I do for my own healing, particularly with my aches and pains. As you've probably noticed, I've got one hand that's quite a lot bigger than the other, and a fatter arm, using the oils that I make from rosemary and orange and rubbing them into my arm to help the lymphedema sort of not increase, you know. To use oils on my joints, you know, on my knees, and also on my skin. Foraging for hair conditioning and shampoo, although at this moment in time you'd think, what the hell, to remind me not to forage and get what she's used, because at the moment it's a little bit sort of dry. And basically I've just enjoyed the freedom of being able to take part in activities that feed my well, and in activities that I can share with you and show you how they bind with activities that our ancestors would have taken part in. They made their own clothes, they grew their own crops, they foraged, they built their own living spaces. Now, I haven't gone that far. You know, they spent time in nature, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, and took time out from social media or from using our phones, going out and albeit maybe, you know, looking at the stars. Star watching has been amazing on the last few good nights we've had. In fact, I think it's tonight. If we look out at the skies, we should see the tail end of a comet that's only seen every 400 odd years, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name. Oh goodness, I'm sure it's tonight. And basically that's it. It's been a case of just enjoying my home, brushing out any negativity, helping my neighbours to do the same. I have made sort of spell jars, for want of a better word, for me, protection jars, where people have been involved in a negative sort of occurrence. So I've created these small jars so they keep by their doors and to ward off negativity. I think, albeit I do this, it's something that, like I say, keeps me interested in this sort of thing. Listen to them. but it's also something that I think it helps us think more positively. It might not necessarily be the jar itself that keeps people away and the contents of that jar, but the energy that goes into it. And when you know that good energy has gone into something, into the creating of something, it gives off a good energy that creates a positivity in yourself. And that positivity in you enables you to keep negativity at bay. And that's how I use what I create. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing what you're doing with your Ancestral Grimoire. Catch up with you all soon. Bye bye now.